This video is brought to you by my generous backers over on Patreon. If you'd like to support the channel and get cool perks like access to the Discord, seeing the videos a week before anyone else, or an entire video dedication, then feel free to check out my Patreon. The link's in the description below. This video is dedicated to Christian Roberts. Christian, thank you. Etali Primal Storm versus Urza Lord High Artificer, Bladewing the Risen, and then a couple of partner commanders in Tymna the Weaver and Ikra Shidiqi the Usurper. We've got a tricky hand. We could risk extra planar lens on a mountain, but even then we're not really doing anything. Yeah, I'm going to take the free mulligan here. A free mulligan into one land. Does Faithless Looting get us into another land? I think I'm going to risk keeping that in the hope that Faithless Looting gets us into another land. Literally just played a game with, I say played, I watched a game in which I was supposed to be playing. It was Tristani, and I'm probably going to upload the game just as, I don't know, a bit of fun. Because we drew into nothing but lands off the top over and over again. So I'm hoping the client is actually going to give us some card draw here. Alright, let's get rid of Balefire and World at War. And now we can at least go Tormenting Voice next turn, so we should be able to get our lands going. Entomb from Bladewing, and they've gotten down an Urborg straight away. Oh, and they've got an Anger as well. I mean, that's a hell of a hand. They've got Urborg, Entomb, and yeah, getting straight into Anger. So, I think it's a mountain they need in play. Yeah, they need to control a mountain, which shouldn't be too much trouble for them. And then all of their creatures are going to have haste. Another land for us is good. Let's go Tormenting Voice, and we'll discard a mountain in the hopes that we draw into another one. We get into a Nykthos, so that's a land at least. Getting into all the heavy hitters, and not getting into any of our ramp. Blackblade Reforged coming down from Urza, and played against this deck a few times, so I know that GoGo is going for an equipments-based Urza deck. And they can either get combat damage or commander damage off with their commander, or they can put it on the construct that Urza brings into play. We get into another land, so let's get down the Hammer of Perforos. Enchantress's Presence coming down now from the partner player, so obviously going for an Enchantress theme. And a Chromatic Lantern will get Outlaw into red mana, but it does not get them into a mountain for their Anger. And then another Chromatic Lantern coming down from Urza this time. Okay, another means of discard and draw. Are we doing anything else this turn? Am I going to regret discarding that Voltaic Key? Or actually, we get rid of Volcanic Visions here, don't we? Yeah. So we're getting into all of our card draw spells. We'll go Wild Guess, and that is a Coalition Relic. We've got a land to make next turn. Might as well go for Voltaic Key. And then we'll untap the Blackblade Reforged, just for the fun of it. And tap out and pass the turn. That's a favourite of mine from the new set, Archon of Sun's Grace. We're going to have a bunch of Pegasus tokens to deal with, if Cranial has anything to say about it. Speaking of which, we've got 3 patrons today, which is why the game is actually going by at a good pace. Cranial Mage playing the partners. Outlaw is on Bladewing. Dreadbore going straight onto that. Wants no part of it whatsoever. And no doubt wants the flyers out of the way as well. And then we've got GoGo Batman on Urza. The first commander of the game coming down, Urza, Lord High Artificer, with a 3/3 construct. And probably equipping the blade here. Nope, going for Champion's Helm, which can tap itself for mana and equip itself, most likely to Urza. Now, we managed to get ourselves into a Valakut. I think we get down Coalition Relic. We can untap it with Voltaic Key and put a couple of charge counters on it. So let's do that. And we can probably go Sunbirds next turn. Then get out the tap land. We've still got a land to make next turn, so I'm feeling alright. I'd like a more full hand than we've got, but considering the hand we started off with, I think we've done pretty good to actually get something going here. And there's the other variant of Archon of Sun's Grace, the Ajani's Chosen. They can get themselves into a bunch of cats, but I imagine the dragon player doesn't care about a bunch of weenies on the floor. Ooh, Kolaghan Storm's Fury. Whenever a dragon you control attacks, creatures you control get +1/+1 until the end of the turn, so a couple of dragons means a +2 buff to power. Not getting it down with dash, however, just deciding to play it out and leave it in play, in the hope that no one wipes the board. And then being very hasty with the removal there, going for Wasteland onto Nykthos. But we've got a land to make next turn anyway, and Nykthos is as good a target for Wasteland as any. We're still going in for Sunbirds next turn. And then if it gets countered, at least it isn't countering our Etali. Now Loxodon Warhammer coming down from Urza as well, and they can afford to equip that, thanks to their construct. So Urza might be piling on some commander damage this game. Let's see if they want to swing in or not. I would have thought they'd swing in at us because people don't like... Nope, going in at Cranial. People really don't like their cards being played for them. So I would think Etali would be swung in at there, but laying 10 points of commander damage on Cranial. And we are going to make some red mana off of the Coalition Relic. We get into another land, so let's just go straight in for Sunbirds. Then we're doing our Relic trick again. And that sets us up nicely for our commander next turn, I hope. Ethereal Absolution. That is a -1/-1 debuff on all of our stuff and a +1 buff on all of our opponent's things. If they're going to get a bunch of tokens into play, then this is the last card we want to see. They can also exile stuff and get spirits into play. So really glad to see the back of the Sun's Grace. But they are in black, so they ought to have means of getting that back with Animate Dead, Dance of the Dead, things like that, Necromancy. Final parting is Search, put one into hand, one into the bin, I think. Getting themselves into a Mana Crypt and putting an Utvara Hellkite into the graveyard. So what happens with this? When it enters the battlefield, you may return a dragon from graveyard to the battlefield. Alright, so it's not a copy or anything. And that is 4, 5, 6 and 7 mana, which they can easily afford, so we might have to tangle with Utvara Hellkite next turn. Fabricate from Urza allows them to search for an artifact. And they've gone in for Hammer of Nazan, that's a really good one, so now they can just play out their artifacts. And they'll be equipped automatically. I'd start trying to get rid of the dragon player, to be honest. But I get that Sunbird's Invocation is something that people might be worried about. Getting down, wow, getting down another equipment. This is going really well for Go-Go. So that is +2 to power, First Strike, Vigilance, Trample and Haste. So it's just a really good blocker to hold back as well. Let's see how many keywords it's got. First Strike, Haste, Hexproof, Indestructible, Lifelink, Trample and Vigilance. And it's a 13/9. They might as well swing in with it. Okay, going to pile back in at the Abzan player. I mean, they've got commander damage off on them already, so they're just going to force them to block at this point. I definitely would have gone in at the dragon player because looks like this is coming down next turn. Just going to go up to 20 commander damage by the looks of it. We get our 2 mana from the Coalition Relic again. We just get into another land, so yeah, apparently the Shuffler is putting a bunch of lands on top again. Let's see about swinging in with our commander. At least we've got Valakut online next turn. And here's hoping that we manage to get into something here. We'll go in at Outlaw. And what have we got? A Warm Power Stone, Heliod's Pilgrim, Demonic Tutor. Do we have Vandal Blast? I think we might have to go for that thanks to Go-Go. Anyway, we'll go for the Warm Power Stone. Didn't get a bunch of lands off the top that time at least. You may search for an aura. Highly doubt we've got an aura, but we'll take the body. And then we get Demonic Tutor as well. We do indeed have ourselves a Vandal Blast. Yeah, I don't like getting rid of all this stuff because it kind of switches off Go-Go's deck there, but they've gotten a really fast start off. And they are about to knock someone out on commander damage, so I am going to go for Vandal Blast and help out Cranial there. Let's search for an aura just in case we've got something. No, we don't have any auras. Put the counters on our stuff again and then we'll see if this damage goes through or if they decide to block. Highly doubt they're going to block the commander damage here. It's only 5, don't forget, thanks to the enchantment. And it's time to see if Cranial has any removal or not. Seal of Cleansing coming down. That can get rid of one of the equipments. Is there only one that has Trample? Loxodon Warhammer is Trample, and I think this is Trample as well. Yeah, so there's 2 means of Trample. Might be just worth getting rid of the Black Blade Reforged. Or maybe hold that back as a Rattlesnake effect and try and have Urza swing in somewhere else. Doomwake Giant now. And I don't think they have a means of really abusing that yet. But they do have some more enchantments that they could play, I would think. 3 cards in hand and 3 mana held up. Going for Seal of Cleansing onto the Hammer. Well, they've still got Hexproof and Trample to worry about. Then following things up with a Sylvan Library to give everything else another debuff from the Doomwake Giant. I mean, they've got enough toughness in play now that they don't necessarily have to worry about Urza swinging in at them. Problem is, if we go for this Vandal Blast, we're playing into the Enchantress player's hand. Now, over on this side of the field, Bladewing the Arisen has come down, and it has brought down with it the Utvara Hellkite, as we thought it would. This is the reason that I didn't really want to swing in at the Dragon player, because I think they might swing in at us in kind. Nope, going in at Urza, so not being reactionary. Which is an intelligent play from the Dragons player because Urza is the biggest threat at the moment. So a bunch of Dragons coming into play and a +3 buff on all of the attackers. So going back down to 43, luckily for Urza, Go-Go has gained a lot of life so far this game. Clever Impersonator now, and I have no idea what they're going to go for with that. Okay, it's another Champion's Helm, so that's another +2/+2 buff, but it's hexproof twice, which is probably what they're concerned with. We'll have to see if Go-Go has counter magic for the Vandal Blast. And then it's an Assault Suit. That can do crazy things, so... Yeah, I've seen that go wild. I think we definitely need to try and land this Vandal Blast now. At the beginning of each opponent's upkeep, you can have that player gain control of it. And if you do have them do that, then it untaps. The equipped creature has +2/+2 and haste. It can't attack you or a planeswalker you control, and it can't be sacrificed. So we don't have to attack with it. Alright, but they're ganging up, so Urza is coming in here. I don't think it has Indestructible anymore, thanks to the hammer going down. Now then, Assault Suit gives us control of the commander, doesn't it? Yes, so we don't have control of the equipment, so Vandal Blast will still work if we want to go for it. Would we rather go for Savage Beating? Let's go for a Valakut trigger first. We'll get rid of one of those cats. And then we could go in at the Dragon player. Savage Beating, do we want to go for that? Creatures you control gain double strike. I mean, the Dragon player's a problem. That would be 7. And then we'd want 5 on Vandal Blast, which should be 12. We've got 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 and 12. We could do it. So this is cast during your turn, only during combat. Let's see if we can do this. Oh, we're actually going to lose the mana, aren't we? Oh, that's annoying. Maybe we don't Vandal Blast this turn then. Yeah, let's go for Hammer of Nazan instead. We'll get down something with Sunbirds. Okay, Dockside Extortionist. That should allow us to do everything we want to do then. That's really lucky. Yeah, we're going to get a lot of mana here. That's really lucky. So there we go. We get into 15 treasure tokens. Hammer of Nazan comes down and puts a buff on Etali, as well as making it indestructible. So now we carefully go through to combat. I'm going to go in at Cranial, because I'm worried about everything they've got going on at the moment. And I'm going to go in at Outlaw as well. And hopefully this gets rid of Outlaw. Then we'll see what happens with Etali first. Oh, we've got Skithiryx. We might want to keep hold of the double strike then. Mana Geode is, yeah, that's just Scry, so we'll go like that. And we'll get down Skithiryx. And could we actually take someone out with... Could we take someone out with Infect this turn? If we can move the Hammer of Nazan over here, that'll be... Yeah, that'll have 5 power. And it'll have double strike, thanks to this, won't it? Yeah, I think we can get rid of a few players here. Definitely want to put a mountain on the bottom. And then we'll go for this, carefully entwine it. We get Sunbird's Invocation off with that. And it's even more stuff. Let's see. I think it's extra planar lens out of those. And we'll obviously get rid of a mountain. So just to recap, I think it's Urza going in at Outlaw. Yeah, so that'll take them down to 2. Etali is going in over here. That's probably just going to get blocked with a chump. Yes, not really all that worried about that. And then we can move the hammer over to Skithiryx and try and take out Cranial next turn. Yeah, they're just chumping Etali with a cat. So Outlaw going down to 2, but 30 commander damage. And then we've got an additional combat step. Oh, of course, Skithiryx goes down with them, doesn't it? Alright, so scratch the original idea then. Let's see about... I think we have to deal with Cranial as best we can. So we will attack in with Urza. And then we'll go in at Go-Go with that one. And let's see what else we get. This time getting Heliod and a Darksteel Ingot, so being really lucky with Etali this time. You can play it and just get into a bunch of lands over and over again, but we're doing quite well, I think. Giving our indestructible Etali Vigilance isn't something I hate. No blocks from Cranial. So they go down as well, and now we go in for the Vandal Blast that we tutored for. Sunbird's Invocation just takes us into 1 card, which is Command Beacon, which we can't do anything with. Overload doesn't change the CMC of a card, so we only got 1 card off of that, even though we spent 5 to cast it. We managed to land the Vandal Blast, so hopefully that spells the end of this game for us. Let's put a charge counter on here. And then we'll see if we want to bother untapping it with the Voltaic Key next turn. I don't think we will bother. Cathar's Shield coming down now. Yeah, there seems to be some discomfort with the power level. I said this was power level 7. The great thing about the whole power level thing with Etali is that it tends to be only as powerful as your opponent's decks are, as you could tell with us getting into Skithiryx and things like that. I still stand by the fact I think this is power level 7. Don't forget that once you get past power level 8, you're creeping into EDH territory, which this is absolutely nowhere near. So just because a player's gotten off to a good start, like Go-Go did with Urza, doesn't make their deck incredibly powerful or consistent, which is what I think dictates the power level of a deck, but as per usual, the whole power level thing is just impossible to work out. So let's see. I was going to say hopefully we don't get into a land off the top, but we do, so let's just hold off on playing that. We might want to go for a lightning bolt if we manage to get into a land somehow. We will go for Faithless Looting. Alright, Relentless Assault. We don't have Trample, but we can go for a couple of activations, so let's discard 2 cards. We'll swing in with both of our creatures and see if we can get something decent as usual. Oh, Urabrask and another Worn Power Stone. That's really good. So we've got our own Worn Power Stone and Urza's. Urabrask will be able to swing in next turn. And Urza deciding to block the Etali. Yeah, so it looks like we've got commander damage off on them next turn because we are going to get into another combat step here. So just some really lucky draws and really lucky reveals off the top. Not sure how lucky it is, to be honest, because we built the deck to ramp and then get extra combat steps, and that's pretty much all it does. So yeah, I think it's going to be a fairly consistent deck. Let's just swing in with everything, and that should be that for this little bout that we've had. Much faster than the last game. Gauntlet of Power off the top of our own library, I assume. And there we go, managing to take... I think we took everyone out there during our turn. Or during our last 2 turns anyway, thanks to our extra combat steps, showing off how powerful those are. I'm going to have a quick discussion with the patrons now, and try and relieve some of the tension. As ever, like I said, the whole power level thing is a controversial subject, so we'll try and work something out for the next game. Leave it a subscribe and a thumbs up if you did enjoy it, and I'll hopefully see you in the next game. I'm tribalkai on the EDH channel. Thank you for watching.